Welcome to the Rosbergs, your marriage coaches. Join Dr. Gary and Barbie Rosberg, America's family coaches, who bring 4 decades of empowering marriages across the U.S. and internationally for this podcast to equip you and your partner with encouragement and tools for a great marriage. Here now are your hosts, Dr. Gary and Barbie Rosberg.
It's great to be with you. We're the Rosbergs, your marriage coaches. And today, Barbie, we're talking about dating and dating your mate. So I stick with this program because I guarantee there's going to be something in here for you because we all need to date our mate.
So in the 80s, Whitney Houston sang a song, and it was, "How will I know if he really loves me?"
How will I know if he really loves me?
Keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, one way is to date your mate because you just say that to your wife. I'm going to take you on a date. I'm taking you out for ice cream. How about going out for coffee and a dessert? Or if you want to do something a little bigger or great big, it's up to you to decide what's the best way. But today on the program, we're going to talk about the need to date your mate.
We're not only going to talk about the need, we're going to this is kind of a coaching for dummies. So for some people, they're going to go, well, I don't even know where to start. How do I do this? We did a book a number of years ago called 40 Unforgettable Dates with Your Mate. And I love that cover. That's a guy that's got some flowers behind his back and he's ringing the doorbell and his wife answers it and he gives her the flowers. Well, we identified 20 dates that a guy can plan, 20 dates that a girl can plan, that helps them kind of experience their love needs. And then we even listed, Barbie, 5 different levels of questions. Is it like 200 questions?
200 questions, yeah, that we can talk about.
Use as you're developing that date. But honey,
let's talk about what inspired us to have this program because we love talking to couples. We are, wherever we go, everybody shares their lives with us. And we were with a very young couple the other night and shared a little bit about it because they really inspired us to talk about dating your mate.
We were just chatting with them and they're just coming out of those really busy years. And so they've got kids, but some of the kids have left the nest and they're trying to kind of figure out. And they said that they have just been so involved in their daughter's dancing. And so they've been to, ballerina stuff forever. And then they've got another daughter playing soccer. And so they've been to ad nauseum soccer games. And then they got a son who's been playing different sports. And so they spend most of their time in the bleachers or in theater halls, engaging their kids in their lives. And they've ended up essentially living parallel lives. And so, she works, he works, they exchange, the calendar and the schedule of activities and who's picking up who after school. And then they start the evening and then they start the weekends with all of these activities. And what it's done inadvertently is it's kind of sucked the life out of the marital relationship and the emotional connection and spiritual connection and the recreation together and just doing things together. And so you said, just, what'd you say? Just go out and have some ice cream.
You just go out and have some ice cream together. And they just both lit up.
They both lit up.
Yeah. And it was like, it's so close, but it's so far away. One of our daughters has 5 kids and she's carpooling all the time. And it's like 2 ships, that pass in the night for any young families that are doing this. And so, sometimes when one of you just say, let's just leave the kids alone or let's get a babysitter and go out for ice cream or go out for pie. People don't do pie anymore. Go out for cake and coffee.
Go out for cappuccino or a latte.
There you go. It's really all about saying, you're important to me.
That's what it is.
And a woman is saying, how will I know if he really loves me? She wants to know. She's still number one. She wants to know that she is seen by her husband and that he's listening to her heart and that he's giving her time. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about dating your mate.
Well, so on the back cover of this book, I was just looking at this when we were preparing for the program. When's the last time you and your spouse had an unforgettable date? So we're asking you that question. So if you're listening as a couple and you're in the car, turn to each other and say, when was the last time? And then here's what we say. Saying I do doesn't mean you're done. Nobody ever put gas in a car and expected it to run for years. But lots of people are running on emotional fumes. Truth is, if you're not dating your spouse, your relationship is running out of gas. So bring back the zing. And that's what this resource does and what this program is going to do. We want to bring back a little bit of the sizzle and the fajita and let you enjoy one another, have some fun together, engage each other. And as Barb said, it may be just a one-shot deal for this afternoon or tonight. It may be on a weekly basis. It may be on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis. We got all sorts of strategies to help you date your mate and fall in love all over again.
So I think right now, as we begin, Gary, we should talk about how do you daily date your mate?
Yeah.
So we've talked about it before, but if you haven't listened, we're going to say it a little differently. You need 2 chairs. You can connect to one another just in these 2 chairs set apart for you and your spouse. It's all about connection. It doesn't matter. Just connect from your heart. Unpack things with one another. But here's the deal. You can do it before you go to work. You can do it in the middle of the day. You can do it during 3 and 7 p.m., which I love to call the Valley of the Shadow of Death, because that's when your kids are coming home from school. You're wondering, do you have enough food in the refrigerator to make a good meal? It's when you've got to wash the dog. Why? Because it was on your list. And I don't know about you, but for every woman I know, the list runs our life. If we plan it, then we execute it, and then we can cross it off the list. The problem is we are sometimes not wired during the Valley of the Shadow of Death, which is 5 to 7 p.m. If our husband walks through the door and if we've got 13 things to do, he becomes number 14. So you've got to figure that out, gals. If he's coming home, put your list aside and put connection over the list. It is of greater power. Or another time, a 4th time you can connect during the day to have your daily date is after the kids go to bed, perhaps after he has cleaned up the kitchen, after he has washed off the counters and done the pots and pans, just as Gary Rosberg did last night. But it's when you sit down and...
I'm not good on the counters. I'm good on washing the dishes, putting stuff away.
I was covering for you.
Yeah.
You know, I've got your back.
Yeah.
And I've got your counters. I've got your counters. I love those.
Not my deal for some reason.
I love those counters. Oh, they are beautiful. And I keep them beautiful. And I wake up every morning. I wake up and I pretend I had a maid there the night before.
A maideth. That's me.
Because the counters are clean and the pots and pans are washed and put away. But that's the 4th time a day. I'm sticking to the notes, Gary. We've got to date one another daily. Dating can be connection. I'm going to tell you something that doesn't cost any money to do on a daily basis. Sometimes it's going to the grocery store, but meeting your spouse at the grocery store. When Gary shows, I love this. Doesn't cost a thing except time. When he shows up and he walks around that aisle and I see him coming, it does take my breath away. Was it Calgon take my breath away?
Calgon.
That's an old advertisement. But honest true, it's Gary, you've entered my world. You understand my dominion, and we do it together. And then I ask you, what sounds good to eat? And then I know for sure we're going to have food because you're getting what you like, not always just what I like.
So when it's daily, it could be meeting at the store. It could be taking a walk.
It's talking from those 2 chairs.
It may be talking in the
connection.
2 chairs. It may be taking a drive. It may be going out and getting an ice cream. It may be sitting on the back deck. And it doesn't have to be expensive. Every one of us can do these things on a consistent basis. You need to make sure the kids are taken care of if you got kids at home. So we're not saying be bad parents or inattentive, but your marriage needs your priority. It needs your attention.
I want to connect to you and give them one last idea for a daily date.
Yeah.
Listen to the podcast, The Rosbergs, your marriage coaches, individually. And then at the end of the day, sit down in 2 chairs and unpack what you want to apply to your marriage. Go ahead.
So not only daily, but a lot of couples, and it's amazing how a regular date night, a prescribed date night, brings security, brings predictability, brings anticipation, brings a smile to a face. And Barbie, and I've seen this in couples of all ages. Some couples at conferences will come up and say, every Thursday night,
Yeah.
Or
It's wonderful.
Well, it is. And there are couples that, I mean, you've got to pry it out of them if you try to take the date night away because they anticipate it. Now,
Calendar it.
It doesn't take you off, the hook the other 6 days. So you still need to be doing something to connect. And Barbie gave you some ideas there. But for some people, it is setting a weekly date night or a weekly date afternoon. So that they can anticipate it, they can lean into each other and connect.
So a great date idea that comes from our book is, say you have no money and you've got a baby and you can't afford a babysitter, get the baby to go to sleep. God bless you. We've been there. And so once they go to sleep, maybe spread out a blanket in the living room.
We've done this.
Open up whatever kind of beverage you love that's just between you and your spouse and get some charcuterie or dessert or
peanut butter and jelly.
Peanut butter and jelly
Crackers,
work if you like
grapes.
Sweets or if you like something savory, do something savory. But meet each other in the beauty of your home. And it doesn't have to cost. It doesn't have to cost anything except choosing to make each other priority. That can be such a sweet, connective date night.
Yeah, play a little music.
What I was going to also say was once a woman knows that she's got the focus of her husband, that he's listening to her, that he's focusing on her, that he wants to hold her heart and listen to what she has to say. I am telling you, your wife will do anything for you when she knows that you have made her that priority. And you were talking about music.
Well, put in a little music, light a candle. You could take a book like 40 Unforgettable Dates with Your Mate and look at some of those questions and unpack some of the questions. We're going to highlight a few of them in a minute. And just turn off your ringer on your cell phone, turn off the TV, just engage with one another. And when you do that, you're investing. Barbie, years ago, we were building a house. And you remember this, and it was Valentine's Day. And we didn't have capacity, I think, to go to a restaurant. So what we decided to do, and it was winter, is we got a picnic basket. We picked up some food somewhere, got a picnic basket, went to the house, and there wasn't even a front stoop. So we had to crawl up some ladder or something.
You had to lift me up.
It was
on a snowdrift.
Yeah. It was, were there windows in there? I don't even know if there were windows.
I don't think there was.
Because we didn't stay a long time.
Very romantic.
And
we turned on the spotlights.
Yeah. The electricians had left these electrical lights. So we plugged those in. We had, some kind of a boom box or something. So we played some music. We laid out a blanket. We were just some candles. And we ate our dinner.
And we danced.
And it was, we were probably there for 45 minutes, but it was awesome. Mm-hmm. That was 25 years ago, but it's still a memory. And it didn't mean, flying to New York City to a Broadway play and those are fine too, if you can do that. But it was just engaging. It was intentional. It was romantic. It was tender, and it was a time of connection. Mm-hmm. And so whether it's a weekly date, certainly daily dates, and then I think, quarterly, take some time away, at least every 3 months, if not every 6 months, and if not, at least once a year. So we're going to give you some room here. But go for a night, go to a bed and breakfast, go to a local resort, get on a plane or a train or a bus and go if you want. But find some place to go, be intentional. And when you make those kinds of memories, they're in your heart forever. And when you go, focus on one another. Do something that's mutually edifying to encourage one another.
When you were talking, I thought about when you finished your doctorate.
Yeah.
And we went to this fantastic marriage conference. It was Weekend to Remember. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. And we saved up all of our money because we could only afford one night at the hotel instead of two. And so we were so excited. So we saved it up for Saturday night. And the couple in the room next to us fought one another all night long. But you know what the beauty of that memory is? How intentional we were, how poor we were, how we were starving for connection. But we gave it our very best. And since then, we've been able to have a lot of date nights. in a lot of hotel rooms around the world because we've spoken all over the world and done date nights all over the world. Look at how God gave us our dream come true. But I go back to those early days of hoping and praying that we could get away and just do it once. And look at how God met our needs and blessed us so much. I'm grateful.
Date nights they're a really doable thing where you're intentionally connecting with one another. And I tell you, it rocks. So why is dating important? We're going to give you some thoughts here that these are reasons dating is important. Then we're going to walk you just through one of the dates that we wrote about in our book and then give you 5 different levels of questions and communication. So Barb, why dating your spouse is important?
Well,
highlight a couple of these.
It maintains connection and romance.
Yeah.
Okay, gals are hearing the word connection, and I bet your husband's hearing romance. Well, it does both. When a woman feels that she's been heard, that he has been with her, that he hasn't tried to fix her, boy, she feels understood. Guys, you've got to step up. And she wants you to be the hero. She wants you to be the knight in shining armor. So do it. Make sure you're the one connecting to her heart, because truly when a woman feels loved, her heart will follow you everywhere, and the romance follows. I mean, you'll get to the point where you're so connected, you're so relaxed that you will flirt more, you'll be more affectionate with one another. It's a wonderful thing.
So it maintains connection and romance, but it also improves communication. So dating your spouse will improve communication, because here's what it does. You've set the table. So just like when Barbie and I put the blanket out in that house we were building, and the electric lights and the candle and the music and, the takeout food, it sets the table for it. And so you know that you've got the opportunity to listen to each other, to engage each other, to speak belief into each other, to flirt with each other, and to have some fun. But Barbie, there's more.
There is. What it also does, it strengthens your commitment with each other. I mean, there are times that we all drop the ball in marriage. There are times when we all have conflicts. I mean, there are times stress is coming in and wanting to divide you in your marriage. But when you have fueled your marriage and you've given time and priority to date nights, weekly, daily, monthly, annually, quarterly, you decide what's best for your marriage. When I feel fueled, we're more resilient. And so it's not like anything's going to come between us. But what we do is we really unify more together. We are so connected that we take it on together too, anything outside of the marriage. So
it strengthens commitment.
Strengthens
you know what
commitment.
else dating does is it creates the novelty and the excitement. When a guy says to his wife, honey, let's have a date this Saturday afternoon. I'm going to get the babysitter. I'm going to plan it. And I know you've been busy and I've been busy and I've got it figured out. And just trust me on this one. And let's have some fun. Well, that's novelty and that's excitement. That's anticipation. That wins. Again, it doesn't have to be getting on a Learjet and flying to England. It can be just something as simple as, Barb, on Mother's Day just recently, we got in the car, we drove to a park that we used to drive through on Mother's Day every year.
A lilac park.
Yeah, and there were lilacs, and it's something we did. I mean, we did that for years and years and years. So we haven't done it for the last few years, but we did it. We had an extra hour and a half before we were meeting Sarah and her family. And we thought, let's just go check out that park. Now, that's novelty. It's just thinking about what would please your mate. So it could be revisiting an old thing or starting a new thing. And then ultimately, it enhances intimacy. And that intimacy certainly can be physical intimacy, but it's also the emotional and spiritual intimacy.
And there's nothing wrong with the physical intimacy. I mean,
well, that's good.
This is where it's at, folks. I mean, if you're married, celebrate and celebrate generously. And if you've ignored this area of your life for a while, for goodness sakes, get it back on the calendar. Begin with date nights. Begin with daily connection. Experience the wonderment of intimacy, sexual intimacy. And then you will get into a calendaring of keeping the fire stoked. Wouldn't you say that? But it's all about date nights. Really
So
is.
this isn't, we're not trying to sell you a book. I mean, I don't even know if we get royalties for some of these books sometimes, but we're going to give you some information. You've got it on tape because you've got the podcast. And so you can go back and replay it with your spouse. So this is an example of a date for a husband to meet his wife's need for emotional intimacy and connection. Because that's one of the 5 love needs that a wife has, is emotional intimacy and connection. So here's what we did all throughout this book, and a gal named Linda Taylor helped us with this when we wrote it. We looked at dipping your toes in the water. So that's kind of the first level of connection. But if you want to go a little bit deeper, then the second level is going up to your ankles in the water. So imagine walking along the beach, and you're not just dipping your toes. Now you're up to your ankles. Third is treading in deeper waters. Okay, so now you're in the water, your whole body's in there, you're treading water. Number 4, you're bouncing on the waves. That's a deeper sense of intimacy and connection. And number 5, you are diving in head first. And so if you want to meet your wife's needs for emotional intimacy and connection, and Barbie, let's just identify, here's level 1, dipping your toes into the water. So these are ways to kind of get your foot in the door in order to encourage her. Just read a few.
I will. I'm going to read a few of the questions. You might want to take notes. But folks, we've planned the dates. We've got dates for you that are all worked out, from very, very thrifty up to paying a lot of money. So all you have to do is read through it. It's all planned, and enjoy. But some of the questions that you're talking about, level 1 is, and I love this one, Gary, who were some of your heroes or people you looked up to over the years? Now that you don't need to answer it. I know, it's a great question. I wrote it.
You know, that level 1 is dipping your toes in the water. That's kind of just the introductory questions, but it's not real deep. But Barb, level 2 starts to get a little bit deeper.
Well, it does.
It's up to your ankles. So
it's
now you're starting to get a little bit wet.
And you want to be able to read the body language and the facial expression of your spouse when you're asking these questions. Because if your spouse looks a little scared or not ready, take the cue from his body language. So here's a couple of questions I'm going to read
5 or 6 of them. These are good.
It says, what issues do we seem to have trouble discussing? And then be quiet.
Yeah, and listen.
Mm-hmm. Why are these difficult? And what should we do to help us communicate about them? Here's another question. What can we do to grab 15 minutes a day of uninterrupted talk when we're both awake enough to pay attention? I mean, you don't want to get up in the middle of the night and expect deep connection. You've got to be rested and have some things on your mind that you want to share that are constructive with your spouse. Here's another one. In what ways can I continue to date you the way I did when we were dating? Oh, you must have done it well then. Yeah. So please bring out all the ways that your spouse really built a dating relationship. I'll read one more. How well did your parents communicate? Was one the talker and the other more quiet? Then talk about your parents. Consider how your families have affected your current method of communication in your marriage. So that's just a handful of ways to talk to one another, ask questions in level 2.
So Barbie, what's the 3rd level?
So 3rd level is treading in deeper waters. Here's a question. Do I ever give you the silent treatment? If so, how do you feel when I do this? And that's when you really need to listen, because that can be very hurtful. And then the question is, how might we break this pattern? In the same area, here's another question. When we have a fight or an intense discussion, does it seem like I'm really listening to what you say, or am I more interested in getting in what I want to say? What signal can I give to you to let you know I'm listening and understanding what you're really saying? And then another one I'll read is, if I were to write you more notes to you, what kinds of things would you like the notes to say? That's good.
You know, Barbie, I think of all the couples that look at us and go, well, if we do sit in the 2 chairs, or if we do hold each other's heart, or if we do have a date, we don't know what to talk about. So you talk about the kids and money and household chores or the calendar. Yeah, that's what most couples, that's that
Data download.
Data download. Yeah, the more superficial and all important, and you've got to do it. But once we get past that, and again, the object of dating your mate that we're talking about is emotional connection and intimacy for your wife. And so these questions are getting you there. So those are questions from the first 3 levels of dipping your toes, getting into your ankles, kind of treading in the water. So, honey, go to some questions.
I'm going to let you go to level 4.
So now we're level 4.
And they are, once you've really got resiliency in your marriage, that you've got safety and trust, then and only then would I go to level 4, because you've got to really put some emotional dollars in the bank before you can withdraw. And right now we're going to get to some very direct and intimate questions. Go ahead.
Well, bouncing on the waves, level 4. Here's the first one. What do you think marital intimacy means? That's a good question to ask on a date night. Here's another one. How would you characterize the level of honesty in our relationship? And then let your wife choose one or more of the following statements to describe how she thinks you handle honesty and the truth. Your wife's response will reveal how secure she feels with you. If you disagree with her assessment, ask her to give you some examples of times that you haven't been honest with her. This is a time to gain information, not to argue. So here's some options for her. Don't ask, don't tell. Is that her strategy? Not likely. You are totally honest about the small stuff. You are totally honest about everything. I hide a few things, but you deal with the approach better than knowing all the truth. You're afraid to tell me some things sometimes for fear of how I'll respond. You don't talk because you feel that I can't handle the truth. Those would be options.
Those are really good.
And they're really
those
good.
Really well
I think
written.
you wrote those too.
I know.
And and yet what you're doing is you're building emotional intimacy. Now, is that risky? Yes. Is it transparent? Yes, it is. Is it vulnerable? You're doggone right it is. But is it meaningful? And does it deepen your relationship? Absolutely. And then you get to the 5th level, and in the book, we call these questions that dive in head first. And keep in mind, this is only for one set of dates. We've got questions for all sorts of different dates in the book, 40 Unforgettable Dates.
Different needs.
With your mate. So listen to this, diving in head first, level 5. What do you think is the difference between emotional intimacy and sexual intimacy? Which do we share more of? What do you need more of? And how can I help to meet that need better? That's a question for a guy and a gal to ask each other. Here's another one. How do we deal with anger at each other? When we have let the sun go down on our anger, how can we work through the difficulties in a more God-honoring way? Now that's deep. Here's another one.
That's really good.
Did I write that one?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. I have no idea who wrote that one. What are some ways the world is trying to separate us in our marriage relationship?
That is really good.
Now, that's coaching 105. That's not coaching 101 or 102. You get to that kind of a question on a date with your spouse, you're going to be connected. Because then what you do is you cling to one another and you resist what the enemy's trying to do, which his intention is to divide you. Here's a couple more questions. Do you ever feel that I'm more at one with my job, the kids, or a hobby than I am with you? What makes you feel that way? How can I be more at one with you?
That's really good.
Yeah. See, her voice is getting lower. She's getting more tender. Do
I sound like Barry White?
Hey,
go ahead.
Baby. And then here's number 5. Do you ever wonder if we will not go the distance in our marriage? Now, that's a risky question. How can I improve in the way that I serve you? In what ways could our marriage become stronger and more secure so that you aren't tempted to think about not finishing together? Now, you guys, you go back to those early questions. Who are your heroes or the people you've looked up to? That may be where you need to start. That's fine. Start there. But if you just took those 10, 12, 15 questions that Barbie and I just outlined, and you can listen to this podcast 10 times and write them down or whatever.
Or buy the book.
Buy the book
on Amazon.
Yeah. Pony up, buy the book on Amazon. It's probably like $10 or $12. And you take that book. I used to tell guys early on, just open the book, rip a page out of the questions, stick it in your pocket, and just when you're walking along with your wife, just kind of pull the question out and just kind of look at it. It'll crack you up. But then we said, if you do that, buy the book. Don't just steal our book.
Right. So today on the program, you've had some great opportunities to discover how often you really do need to invest in your marriage and date one another daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, annually. And we've given you some good conversation question starters so that you can connect to one another in marriage. What we did not share with you is that we've got 40 unforgettable dates with your mate that we've written, laid out, even told you to get a babysitter. I mean, it's an instruction manual and you will win. It's kind of dating for dummies. Is that what you called it?
Yeah, years ago, we did a tour across Canada. We did 20 events. So we started in Nova Scotia and went all the way to British Columbia and Vancouver. And we came back to our home, I think 4 times, and then we'd go up there for another couple of weeks. And so we did this, and we were in Saskatchewan in March.
It was cold.
So if you've ever been in Saskatchewan in March, you'd never forget it. And it was really cold. But Tyndale House, our publisher, sold out of this because the Canadians were buying this book like crazy. And when we asked some of the people from Focus on the Family Canada and some of our friends up there, why is everyone buying the book? They said, we don't know the questions to ask. Well, Barbie and I are your marriage coaches. We just gave you some questions to ask. And however you come to those questions, some of you are sitting back saying, Rosberg, is that all you got? That's fine. I mean, go for it. But most people are saying we need creativity. We need to be prodded. Give us a little bit of a roadmap. Help frame it for us. Paint the vision for it. And give us a little bit of a boost and some starters. That's what this is. The outcome of this is date your mate. Barbie, we've been married 50 years. We dated a couple of years before that.
2 years and 5 months.
Okay, 2 years and 5. Well, look who's counting. And you know what? I love dating you. I mean, I love just being with you. And it gets even better and better. That's the other thing I think I'd like to say as we close this. It gets better. And it's not that you don't love your kids and your grandkids if you're at our stage of life, but you know what? There's even more time to engage one another. I want to treat Barb like a queen. I mean, I want to just give you what is a desire of your heart so that you feel secure. We are making those memories. We've got the connections. I don't want to leave anything left unsaid. So what that means is I'm intentional to say the things I need to say, to do the things I need to do. And dating your mate is a great doorway to go through for that connection in your marriage. We're Dr. Gary and Barb Rosberg. We are the Rosbergs, your marriage coaches. So don't only listen to the show, rate it, rank it, download it, share it with other people. I mean, think of the people in your life that need to hear just some good old common horse sense here, because that's what this stuff is. There's nothing clinical. There's nothing weird about this. This is just relational coaching for strong marriages, great marriages. And we want you to have that great marriage experience. So blessings to you. We're cheering you on. Guard your hearts. And we can't wait to see you next time on the Rosbergs, your marriage coaches.
Hey listeners, make sure to stay up to date with the Rosbergs by subscribing to their show, Your Marriage Coaches, on any major podcast platform such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you will get an alert each time a new episode is released. Whatever platform you're listening on, please rate the podcast and leave us a review.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Rosbergs, Your Marriage Coaches, with Dr. Gary and Barbie Rosberg. To find out more, go to americasfamilycoaches.com. Once you're there, you can check out the many resources that they have available. From their many books to their informative video series, 6 Secrets to a Lasting Love, they've got all the tools you need to help you grow deeper in your relationship with your spouse and with God. Go to americasfamilycoaches.com and click on the Resources tab. Also, if you have a marriage question, you can call 855-ROSBERG and leave a message with your question. We may use your question on a future episode. We appreciate your prayers and support for this ministry. Find out how you can come alongside us when you go to americasfamilycoaches.com. Just search the top of the index for the Donate tab. Thank you for listening in today. Be sure to join us next time for another episode of The Rosbergs, Your Marriage Coaches, with Gary and Barbie Rosberg.
It can be challenging, it can be stressful, and it can be absolutely wonderful. If you and your spouse want to strengthen and enhance your marriage, Dr. Gary and Barbie Rosberg can help through a new video series, 6 Secrets to a Lasting Love. A strong and healthy marriage isn't just about feelings or emotions. It is truly 6 specific and intentional kinds of love. The Rosbergs offer this brand new study looking at the biblical loves and principles of a great marriage experience. This video series and accompanying workbook is rich with discussion and group questions designed for couples in one-on-one marriage coaching or in a small group study. Find out more at americasfamilycoaches.com.